Yo, 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 what's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Real Talk with Rajan. Nothing's off limits. Could have been anywhere in the world, but you are here with me, and I appreciate that. So before we even get started, I need y'all to share this video out and let the world know that we are ready to roll. I am live with Mr. Kwadjo Campbell, the illustrious, the well-known, internationally known, locally respected. Y'all already know what time it is. Please share this out. We're talking about some great things that are happening in the community this weekend. And you want to know about this, I'm actually sharing it on my end as well. Go ahead and trying to share this out to you all so y'all know what time it is. So you can tune in. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Go ahead and share this out. It'll take like 2 minutes just to let people, give people time to get in here. I know a lot of people are interested in this. And we're talking about a rally they're doing this weekend. The Black Agenda. What do we really want? What do we really want? Right? There's a whole lot of stuff going on. Protests and civil unrest and everything. And we have people who are out here trying to make some changes. People who have been down this road before. It's been a lot of talk about, the young people not having guidance. Now we got the, excuse my language, but the old heads out here ready to bestow the knowledge onto the younger people. So we got to make sure we're supporting them as the older generation and the younger generation come together. We want to make sure that we're supporting them and letting them know that we got their backs, that we have their backs. So we'll take like another minute, let people come in, and we're going to get started. But thank you guys. Everybody who's in, please share this out. We are live. We are live. We are live. We are live. What's up? What's up? What's up? Let me close this. Close that. Close that. Thank you, everybody who's joining. Really appreciate it. We are live. We are live. We are live. We all at though. Y'all know I'm from the chat. We all at though. We are live with Kwadjo. Kwadjo. Yes, sir. What's up, Aaron? I see you. What's up, big cuz? J. Lou in the building. ScienceC.com. I'm gonna get to the read in a second. Join us. Listen, we need y'all to join us. All right, let's do this. Can I have some more water? Hello, world, and welcome back to Real Talk with Rajan, where nothing's off limits. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you are here with me, and I appreciate that. I am your host, Rajan Lewis. Now, here on Real Talk with Rajan, everything's debatable, so in any given week, we could be discussing anything from sports to music to politics. You name it, we'll discuss it. I am your host, Rajan Lewis. Now, before we get started, I want to make sure I shout out to my sponsors. Special shout out to ScienceToSee.com. If you have any custom design needs, you need banners, you need household items, you need car magnets, you need business cards, you want to go to www.sciencetosee.com and get that started. And if you are looking to get into a career of cybersecurity or internet security, you want to go to Cyber Prep U. They have trained IT specialists ready to get you on the track and ready to go. You want to go to cyberprepu.com cyberprepu.as.me. That's cyberprepu.as.me. And with that being said, let's begin the show. Here on Real Talk with Rajon, we have a goal of shining a light on the great things that are happening right here in the Low Country and beyond. And today we have a gentleman who's going to be a part of the show who is no stranger to the area, no stranger to the Chuck. You know him, you love him. He is Mr. Kwadjo Campbell. Thank you so much for joining me, sir.
Very glad to be here.
Amen, amen, amen. So, please, for those who do not know you, please introduce yourself to the audience.
Hey, Kwadjo Campbell, former city council member in Charleston, represented the east side of Charleston, downtown and Cainhoy community, east of the Cooper, fighting for issues dealing with gentrification, affordable housing, economic development issues, planning issues. Today, I still do that. I'm a real estate developer focusing on affordable housing, mixed income type of products. We also still work with low income communities, but we work with them on planning. So when highway projects come into your community and you're being impacted negatively, we work with you to develop mitigation plans and just to deal with developers coming into your community and codes. We might work with you to develop community benefit agreements between that community and the developer. So those are the type of issues we deal with. And we also organize political campaigns. And I'm also an educator with certified in ELA and social studies.
Okay, good stuff. Good stuff. So that was a lot in a little time. So I want to make sure I break that down just a little bit more. So for those who do not know, your history in the game, I think you undersold your role in the area of Charleston. So let's just start out. So you're from the east side. So you're what, a Burke person?
Say it again. Yeah, Burke.
You went to Burke High?
1990 Burke High School.
All right, I'm not gonna hold that against you. Here on Real Talk with Rajon, we are at North Charleston High School. We are a Cougar show.
Oh, good. Now we got to unite if we want changes in the region.
Yeah, so we definitely show love to our Burke brethren. So I want to make sure I do just shout you out for that. But growing up downtown, what was that like growing up downtown in the late 80s, early 90s, compared to what you see down there now?
We just it's close knit. Every community from all around the College of Charleston, all the way back to Rosemount, really was African American community growing up. I remember on Sundays we used to walk down to Hampton Park, and like all the communities used to be packed on Hampton Park. We used to go hit this battery on Sundays and kick it out there on the batteries on Sundays. We used to hit Hester Park, play basketball. Brothers still hit Hester Park and play basketball. But of course, what has changed is that culture. The churches and the events that we used to do, church events, and I used to go to Bible study. Prayer study with my grandmother at Jerusalem Baptist Church in downtown, which started on the east side but moved to the west side. You know what I mean? So all my aunts moved over to the west side. So we used to be back and forth visiting from the east side to the west side, and had some time living on Bayside Manor. So if you're from downtown, you live all over downtown.
Yeah.
So that's what it was like, and the difference is now that those communities are no longer our communities, and it's amazing that the East Side Community Development Corporation still is ran by a strong African American leader by the name of LaTanya Miminger Gamble, and she's it's amazing that she's still there and still fighting for the traditional community there in the midst of all that gentrification. But a lot of other communities aren't lucky like that. They've been pretty much eliminated.
Okay. All right. So you grew up down there, and that's definitely, thank you for answering that, because you definitely spoke to the heart of the issue that I'm trying to get to in terms of the gentrification that's happening and the changes that are happening that are making downtown not the downtown that we remember it being. To some people, that's a great thing, but to a lot of people, that it's not, especially the people who've lived there for generations and generations. So you grew up, went to Burke High School. What made you go into education?
When I was at the College of Charleston, I worked at the Avery Research Center, and I taught African American history and culture to fifth graders, gifted and talented fifth graders on the island at James Simmons Elementary School, and Malcolm C. Hersey up in North Charleston. So, I worked at doing that, and I love education. Education is our passport to all type of advancement and growth in our community. So, I'm a big history buff. When I was at College Charleston, worked, studied at the with the Able Research Center, Dr. Ba and Dr. Marvin Delaney and Dr. Bernard Powers. So, teaching history, and I'm a writer, I'm a poet, so ELA was a natural thing to me, and getting our students to understand how to write, how to communicate is important to me. How to think is important to me. So education is a natural fit for me.
Yes, and that's actually, so you didn't go through the Call Me Mr. program, because that would have been before.
I am a Call Me Mr.
You're a Mr.?
Yeah, I did it in the grad program.
Okay, I didn't know you were Mr. Okay.
Shout out to Dr. Roy Jones.
Shout out to Dr. Roy Jones.
And Winston.
Hey,
and Mr.
Breland. Shout out to Mr. Breland. Shout out to Dr. Harris.
That's it.
Whole squad, man. Jimmy Freeman, Mr. Y'all already know, man. So, hey, so you went to education. So you went straight out of college into education, or did you go?
No. Actually, I went right out of college on city council, and
wow. Okay.
Worked with the DAS program in the Able Research Center for a little bit, and the 100 Black Men of Charleston, doing that. And then after, I left Charleston for a little while, and did some things in retail. Then went back to grad school to get my master's in education. That's when we moved from Virginia back to Greenville, and I went to Clemson through the Call Me Mr. program, and love it. Matter of fact, my classroom was featured as a model classroom for the National Institute for the Excellence of Teaching. So all of the administrators in the state in Charleston County, as a matter of fact, would have been trained on a video where I teach thinking to my students, and it was scored an exemplary, and so they used that as a model throughout the state.
Okay, all right, good stuff. So I saw this. Then I skipped over because I thought you were a teacher, and then you went to city council. So what made you go straight to city council out of college?
All right, so when I was in college, I was president of Black Student Union. We started the NAACP on campus. We did the African American Performance Troupe. I was part of the Black Charleston County Black Voter Coalition program with Marion Welch. I saw what was happening in my community as far as gentrification. Remember, I came on the scene talking about it back in 1998, and so when I was first elected. So I saw what was happening with our education systems, how we were being shortchanged in allocations, and our schools looked like shantytown schoolhouses, and other schools west actually looked like palaces. So those are the things I saw. I organized the after-school programs when I was a senior at the College of Charleston, and all of the public housing complexes in downtown Charleston. We would bus students down there to do after-school programs with the kids, and workshops on welfare reform. That was legislation that was passing, and voter registration, and community festivals on culture. Teaching the kids about their history and culture as Black people and Africans. So those, it was just, again, a natural thing for me to. I was working with the East Side Community Council, and I was the second vice chair for Charleston County Democratic Party. And so I was approached by community leaders on the East Side if I would consider to run for council. And I was against it at first. I said I wanted to change the system from the outside, and a friend of mine, Pierre Simmons, convinced me that, I would have a significant impact if I ran and got on council.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. And how long did you serve on council?
8 years.
8 years.
2 terms.
Dope. All right. So you in the classroom, you've already served on council, then you moved to Greenville and you started over. So you moved to Greenville and started doing working in real estate and zoning and planning?
Education. So I have a consulting firm that I have with my wife. She's an urban planner.
Mm-hmm.
And while I teach, we work on real estate development projects. So we build multifamily projects, and we're developers. So we partner. We have a partnership with a developer out of Milwaukee, and with them, we build multifamily type of products, and 50 to 100 to 150 units to 200 units. We have the capacity to put together those type of projects, and but at the same time, I was at Legacy. I was the chairman of the English department and 8th grade team lead, and I'm the chairman of the Democratic Black Caucus up here, and neighborhood president for old mill community called Pope Mill.
Wow.
We've always we've got a great team of people that help me with all this stuff. So it's never just me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So with the team, we're able to do a lot.
Yeah. So you're living your life. You're in Greenville. You're able, you operate in the way you operate up there, and then civil unrest happens. George Floyd.
No, I have an office in Charleston, 60 America Street.
Okay.
That I rent from the East Side Community Development Corporation down there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because a lot of my work is in Charleston. I do the African American Tourism Conference. I did the economic impact study on African American tourism at USC.
Okay.
And I'm pushing that legislation locally and statewide to get more local governments to invest in African American tourism. It's a $2.4 billion industry that we don't invest in as local governments. That we're not focusing on. So if we just focused a little bit, just investing a little bit of that, that could be a tremendous windfall for our community. So I'm in Charleston a lot. So and I work with Representative Gilliard. I work with Senator Kempson. I work with Representative Marvin Pendarvis, Jerome Hayward, Councilman, now newly elected Councilman, and Councilman Mike Brown, Councilwoman Virginia Jameson. So I work with a lot of those cats continuously. Policy, elected, getting elected, so do a lot of that. And I was Bernie Sanders state director for a little bit.
That's what I was going to ask. Weren't you a Bernie Sanders state director? I was actually going to ask that question. So, all right. So you do have an office here. The George Floyd stuff kicks off. Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and civil unrest breaks out all over the country. First of all, before we even talk about the protest, how were you uniquely impacted by that situation?
Well, I mean, as a Black man, you're enraged. I think David Chappelle summed it up in his piece 846. This is the fact. This is what we deal with on a daily basis, like that mentality as it relates to our community. Him having his hands on his pocket as he was taking life from this man. That's what they do to our community. Every day, while we might not be protesting and fighting, we're getting the life squeezed out of us economically, we're getting the life squeezed out of us in the education system, we're getting the life squeezed out of us criminal justice system, we're getting the life squeezed out of us in the medical system. The discrimination which COVID-19 has highlighted, the disparities in our community. We're literally getting the life squeezed out of us every day. We're not protesting, we're not rioting every day, but we're getting the life squeezed out of us every day. So when, that's, I think he summed it up. That's the mentality, that's how I feel, and the rage. But, I've been doing this for a minute. When Walter Scott was murdered and shot in the back, I felt the same way. I felt watching 846. He was running, he shot in the back. The guy tried to plant something on him, and I was enraged then. But we organized after that with the North Charleston Civil Coalition for Reform, and we put together reforms. And a lot of those reforms have been implemented in the city of North Charleston. Do they need to be strengthened? Do we need to go further? Yes. But we took action by organizing. And so when this happened, my mindset immediately went to, now what didn't happen then as to what happened now. When Walter Scott was killed, we didn't have corporations saying we need to deal with racial injustice, right? We didn't have the Senate Republicans saying we need to pass criminal justice reform. I heard Lindsey Graham say this morning that he's open to increasing minimum wage as a part of the stimulus package.
What?
Right. So we haven't had these type of conversations in a long time. So it's really incumbent upon us, and I felt my responsibility is to work to organize the leadership so we can put together an agenda that we can get something done when when all the dust settles, because the dust
Yeah.
will settle. The dust will settle. And when the dust settles, what are we going to look back and say we've done?
Yeah, I one so astutely said. Like that was like the nutshell. And I guess that really gets me to my point about how have you felt about the reaction from the African American community and the world in response to this? There's been a lot of criticism of our younger people for the violence with which they've approached this topic. And they're like, we wish they wouldn't be burning stuff down. We wish they wouldn't be doing this. We wish they wouldn't be doing that. What was your original thought surrounding the way they approached it?
Well, I mean, some of that stuff was provoked. So, I mean, a lot of stuff was, the intent was to come out and protest, peacefully, and things got out of hand. But am I angry or upset that the young generation expressed their anger? I'm not. And what I like to see, which is why I'm working, but the fashion that I'm working in, is to see our anger channeled in more positive directions. What I mean? To get some reforms done and to get some actual change done. But sometimes, as Martin Luther King, I think people have been saying this quote a long time. It's the message of it's the voice of the unheard. You know what I mean? Riots are and protests and demonstrations. So people say they don't like the way the young people reacted. Well, I don't like the way people react to the institutional and the symbolic foot on my neck or knee on my neck that is going on in our community every day. So you don't like that. I don't like what's happening to us.
Absolutely. So I love the fact, like you said, that the rally that you guys are doing, the BLM, a Black Agenda, what do we want? Rally. Is it like what made you guys go about it the way that you are? Because it's definitely a different approach than what we've seen from a lot of the other protests that have happened, rallies that have happened.
Well, the other events happened so that this could happen.
Yes.
I see they're all a part of one chain of events. You get the attention, you agitate, you organize, and you get the attention, and then you put together. You have your agenda on the table, and then you try to get try to get some things done.
Yes.
And so I felt like we were at a point where everyone was beginning to say, "Well, what do you guys want?
Mm-hmm.
What do you want?"
Yeah.
Okay, we're listening. What do you want? And so the only people who can really define that is our leadership. One thing I did not want to see is, the corporations telling us what they were going to do for us. Or the politicians to tell us what they're going to do for us. We need to define that for ourselves as a community. And it can't be one sect or one crew or one clique. It has to be a cross section of leadership in our community, young and old. You know what I mean? Every Mason, non-Mason, Greek, faith-based, secular, neighborhood organizations, and whatever, civil rights organizations in our community. We all got to come together and define what it is what we want. And that's the Black Agenda.
Yes. So when you're highlighting the Black Agenda, like I said, when I first saw it, the first thing that stuck out to me was the fact that it was an actionable plan with actionable items, which was broken down really by different sections of individual cities, which I loved. Like for me, that was the lesson plan. As a teacher, educators, that's the lesson plan. This is APK. All right, this is our activating prior learning. This is our lecture. Like we're going. This is our check-in. Like this, I loved it. So can you talk a little bit about what went into that planning process?
Well, what the plan is out. First of all, we got together on Zoom as a group, and every leader, basically, we just went around the room and people put on the table what they believed we needed to be asking for as a community from local government.
Mm-hmm.
And so that first came the first set of things, which was a list of economic justice reform, a list of education reforms, a list of criminal justice reforms. But then as we move forward in discussion, we realized that we needed to address this by municipality, by government agencies. What do we, and to be even very specific as to what we're asking for, because government is very specific in what it can do and what it can deliver. And so we need to be specific in what we're requesting. So when we request that 990 Morrison Drive and be given to a community-based organization to do a economic development project that includes affordable housing that the community controls, versus them giving it to a developer to do some market rate mixed use housing that's already inundated in that area. That's the specificity, the specifics we want. The other thing, when we talked about, drainage and drainage issues in Mount Pleasant, right? Snowden, the Cage communities, the Phillips community, so, when we talk about their drainage being clean and the fact that the local government has refused to allocate resources to that community for decades. And so, simple requests that other communities get all the time, our community has been neglected and ignored, and it's because of institutional racism and racist mindsets. All right. And so when we're going for our economic justice agenda, we're going to be very specific. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to, with the audits in place, we're going to be very specific. We don't want to, one of the recommendations that came out of the city of Charleston's police audit was that the traffic stops show significant racial disparities, right? And their recommendation was to do better data collection. Well, that's not going to stop the racist traffic stops.
No.
You know what I'm saying? What's going to stop the racist traffic stops is sensitivity training and penalties for those that violate, the process and the procedure. That's those. So we have work to do, man. And so that's why our agenda is so specific.
I love that, man. I love that. And who are the partners that you're working with on this rally?
All right, so on the rally, the committee members for the rally are Latanya Campbell, president of the Eastside Community Development Corporation, Marcus McDonald, he's the president of Black Lives Matter Charleston, Akela Sellers, who is the president of the Black Student Union for the College of Charleston. She was also a college outreach coordinator for the Bernie Sanders campaign, and she political director for Wendell Gilliard's campaign, Young Sister, but dynamic from downtown Charleston. And also our young brother, Eric Manning, who's the son of senior Eric Manning at Mother Emanuel. He's the president of the Young Democrats, and then young man by the name of Brandon. I'm not sure of Brandon's last name, but he organized the Mean Man March that happened.
Brandon Talley. Yeah.
That's it.
Brandon Talley.
Yeah, Brandon. And so those are the cats that have been working. We meet every night, planning and putting this thing together. And but the support comes from all the organizations that's part of the leadership coalition. So that would be, in addition to organizations I just named, we've had elected officials on that call. We've got the communities from Mount Pleasant on the call, other downtown North Charleston communities like the Wayland, Acadie, that's been on the calls, churches like Reverend Holt's Church, everybody's familiar with Royal up in North Charleston, you know what I mean? His voice has always been strong. So, Pastor Dixon has been on the calls and has been really supportive. So we've got like a cross section of different types of organizations that have come together to put this together.
Awesome. So if they come out tomorrow, it's a Saturday. If they come out, what can they expect when they come out on Saturday?
So when they come out Saturday, what they can expect is one, they can go to various tables and learn about criminal justice reform, sign up for a voter engagement program that's going to be happening in the community. But what they're also going to get is some basically some speeches. So the first hour will be dedicated to hearing about the policy platforms that we're going to be addressed. So we're going to have a
Yeah.
few speakers on economic justice, a few speakers on educational reform, and a few speakers on criminal justice reform. And then we're going to do breakout sessions.
Okay.
Right. So it's going to be like a conference, but outdoors at a rally. Right. We're going to do breakout sessions. So we'll have a big plenary section where we have the speakers, and then we'll do breakout sessions on economic justice reform. And that will be your call to action. So that'll be the call to action. So when you break down into the specific groups, when you go into economic justice, you'll one, sign up for notifications and updates of different actions and activities that's going to take place. And you're also going to come to a consensus on what the next direct action is going to be. And so we're going to have some suggestions already identified. Each group will have a facilitator that will facilitate that group through those activities. But at the end of it, they would have signed up for future activity, and they would have direct information as it relates to what is the next step for direct action, right? Okay. And some of those things that we're going to be suggesting will be just, if I can go over them real quick, we've been working on this today. A suggestion might be a rally or protest at the school board meeting in support of a proposal to modernize and update facilities in African American communities in North Charleston. Yeah. So if you look at those facilities, those elementary schools in North Charleston that our kids go to, they are deplorable compared to the schools in Mount Pleasant. Absolutely. And if all kids are equal and all things are the same, then all of our kids deserve the same. Yeah. Or we might do a protest at the City of Charleston Council meeting coming up in July, right? Why? Because of the lack of Black businesses benefiting from the tourism industry. Or we might do a rally in North Charleston, right, in support of the independent police audit that they're working on. Or we might protest county council for their rejection of a Black economic stimulus plan that was presented to them over the course of the years, and just, serving notice to them. So, but we want the community to come to a consensus, or each group to come to a consensus on what their next action will be, or the types of action they're going to implement. And once we have that, we'll update the website with that information, communicate it to everybody, and put marketing material out there for everybody, and get to it.
Awesome. I love that. And that website, what is that website that people can go to for updates?
It's going to be SC Black Agenda 2020.
Black Agenda 2020. SC Black Agenda 2020. Now, if you are watching this right now, and I know a lot of people at work, and there are a lot of things going on, so we're probably not very high viewed right now. But if you're watching this and you want more information, you got to make sure you go to that website. You make sure you contact Mr. Gilliard. Make sure you contact his partners that are working on this. They're putting a lot of work into this because it needs to happen. This moment can become a movement if we are active and we activate ourselves. We all have a role to play. Maybe everybody's not a protester. Maybe you're a boots on the ground person who can go knock on doors and push the agenda. Maybe you're a person who knows people who know people, and you can connect them to connect them to Mr. Campbell, as well as the other gentlemen and ladies who are on the front lines trying to make this happen. But this can go beyond just one thing that happens. Every few years, we have one big blow up, and everybody's like, "Oh, I'm so angry." But what comes out of it? Like Mr. Campbell has said already, like, we're in a place now where people are listening. People who have not wanted to listen to us for decades, who have not wanted to hear a word from Black people since the Civil Rights Movement, are actually listening to us now. And they're saying, okay, what can we do to make y'all stop? And that's a crazy statement, but they're listening. We're for the first time since the Confederacy, we are at a place where we do not have any Confederate flags being represented as a national state flag. That in and of itself is amazing. We have people making changes. NASCAR said, Black people, how can we help? NASCAR. So when we got people like that listening to us, we definitely need to capture this moment and make the most of it. Mr. Campbell, if they want to keep up with you or get more information about what's going on, please let them know how they can find you, sir.
They can either go to contact me on Facebook and send me their email address, and I'll get them there, sign them up to our newsletter, or they can go to our website, jc-associates.com, and connect with us there, sign up for a newsletter there online. So, Instagram, any Twitter, hit me up on any of those platforms, and we'll get you connected and get you in our newsletter system and keep you up to date. And Wendell Gilliard is one of the sponsors of this event this weekend also.
Shout out to Wendell Gilliard, Representative, the Honorable Representative Wendell Gilliard. Great man, doing great things. And I just want to say here on camera, like I've followed you for quite some time, as a black boy growing up in the city of North Charleston. And when people would talk about young black men doing great things, the name Kwadjo Campbell always came up. So you've definitely paved the way for people like myself and a lot of young black men who have been coming up through the game and trying to figure out how can I make a difference, how can I be a part of the progress that has happened. So I want to thank you for that here on camera, because I believe in giving people their flowers while they're here. I don't want to wait till you're not here with us anymore, and then I'm like, I wanted to tell Kwadjo how dope he was. So thank you, man, for what you do. And if there's ever anything that you're doing that you want to promote, please do not hesitate to reach out, man. I'd love to have you back on the show to talk about what you're doing and promote it and uplift it and uplift you in any way I possibly can.
Hey man, good work. You keep it up, brother. You're definitely making an impact. Education, you out here in the media world. Keep doing your thing, man. And whatever I can do to support you and give you a platform or to give what you're doing another avenue to get your word out, let me know.
Praise God. Thank you so much. And I'm going to take you up on that. Trust me.
Right,
I will take you up on that. All right. Well, let me go ahead and wrap this up then. Do you have any parting thoughts?
Just come on out Saturday, everyone. Remember, we have to stay vigilant. We have to keep this going, but we have to be focused and strategic. And when the dust settles, we can look back and be proud of what we've accomplished for the next generation.
Absolutely. Well said. With that said, I'm going to wrap this show. Thank you to everybody for watching, man. Thank you everybody who watching, whether you watched it live or on replay. Thank you so much for taking the time to do it. You didn't have to, but you did, and it means a lot to me that you did. So thank you. Reminder that the show is now every week. I do my show normally on Wednesday nights, but sometimes I do them on different times. As you can see, it is Thursday afternoon, and I'm recording the show. So normally every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. is my local celebrity spotlight. Next week, I actually am still lining up my guests for next week. It could be quite a few people, but I have Stella Williams lined up for probably Tuesday. We have, oh my gosh, Wednesday, Sharika Myers of Lil Herbie's virtual school. So many people doing so many great things that I want to make sure I shine a light on. So make sure you're tuning in next week to find out about those things. In the meantime, follow me on social media to stay up to date on what's happening with Real Talk with Rajan. And do not hesitate to reach out and let me know if you have any questions, complaints, or anything about this show. I love doing this, and I love getting your feedback. So please make sure you leave me a comment, leave me a review on my Facebook page or anywhere about how you feel about the show. Thank you all for watching. And yeah, that's what's going to end it right there. If a man doesn't stand for something, he's bound to fall for anything, and that's real talk. Peace.